Welcome to the 2025 GRAMMY U Fall Summit presented by MasterCard. I'm so happy to be here with these beautiful ladies. We're gonna talk about networking, okay? So get it together. All right. Well, let's just dive right into it. Why don't we talk a little bit about y'all's day-to-day, how many people you oversee, who you interact with, all that jazz.
I guess I'll go first. Hi, I'm Ryan. Nice to meet you all. My day is interesting. I am a freelance person in the world, so my day is dependent upon what I'm doing and kind of like what the week is like. If I'm on the road, you know, I'll go out on tours and I'll be gone for like a couple of weeks at a time. And so my day is kind of like described to me through whatever the tour responsibilities are. But when I'm at home, I kind of do a lot of different things to run my own business. I teach privately a few days a week. I am responsible for doing like a lot of educational materials. I do content creation, so I'll do like shooting video, editing video, making stuff for my website. I like write a lot of copy and write pieces for various things. I also have to learn a lot of music and do like local gigs in town, and I also do session work. So every week is kind of this like hodgepodge of whatever it is. So it's kind of a little bit different. It takes a lot of like time management, but in general, it's sometimes just me and my computer all day, and sometimes it's me, you know, out on the road, being in a different place for weeks at a time. So.
I'm Serena Lloyd, and I am the VP of HR at Big Loud Records here in Nashville. My role is I manage the entire employee life cycle from when they enter the company, even the internship program, all and through, you know, through their whole life cycle until they leave. So, but hopefully they never leave. but I manage, you know, from recruitment to performance, benefits. I'm a team of one. We have 150 employees, so you know, I lead the full like soup to nuts HR.
And hello again, Latoya Bennett-Johnson. So I'm the Vice President of Global Entertainment and Music Sponsorships at MasterCard. Maybe you've heard of us. And so the teams I work with, that's interesting. On the global side, I work with all the regions. So that's all the sponsorship leads in the regions. But as far as my scope, in addition to entertainment and music, it also includes women's sport now. So I work with a lot of really strong, amazing rugby players. Women's Rugby World Cup actually just ended. And overall, we have 35,000 employees. So a big part of my role, not only outside, but internally, is how do we bring really cool priceless experiences to employees. So earlier this year, we did a campaign with Lady Gaga. And we were able to bring like the chair from the video inside of the space and, you know, learn about the campaign. So we get to do cool things to kind of educate our workforce on what we do. And then, of course, we get to work with great partners like the Recording Academy.
Oh, you didn't have to say all that. Oh my gosh. No, I love it. I love hearing from all of you. We have like just about everything in the building right now. So it's great that we have such an array of everything in the industry. And as you all know, the entertainment industry is small. It's all about relationships and getting to know people authentically. So I wanted to ask, and also networking, obviously. So I wanted to see how did you used to network back in the day versus how do you network now? And what's something that, looking back, you're like, oh, that wasn't the way to do it, versus like now you're like, this is something that I love to see people do.
I'll kick it off. So,
thank you, Ryan.
I think that like when I was in school, my role was very different. I was a music business major, and I thought like, okay, I'm gonna get a job doing, you know, like concert production and promotion or management. And I did a bunch of different internships and kind of was a lot more industry focused. And you know, went to mixers and did all of that stuff, and then realized that that wasn't the place for me because I, you know, had a handful of different internships and realized like, I don't think I want to be on the business side. I want to be on the music side. And so I, after school, like turned down a job and like went back home and just started meeting other players, working and kind of like just seeing who was doing what kinds of gigs, what was available, the kind of work that I wanted to do. And I started to find people that I thought I could grow with. So a lot of it was starting to make relationships with players who were kind of around my age doing certain things in the scene so that like I would grow with those people. So like earlier on, it was kind of like taking whatever gig with anybody that was at my level, knowing that like, you know, 10 years down the line, we would kind of hopefully all be successful. And the way that's different from what I'm doing now is like now a lot of us have reached this cool point where, you know, I don't necessarily see people in person so much, but I do connect with them, and everybody's kind of following each other on Instagram, and every now and then our paths do cross and we're able to kind of like recall a time. So now the interesting thing about networking is that it's less about sometimes meeting a lot of new people and more so reconnecting with somebody that I had done something with a long time ago and realizing like, oh wow, you're doing this now, I'm doing this now. Can you believe it, after we like spent that like 10-hour drive in the snow together like all that time ago?
That.
So it's kind of interesting because I'm at this point able to kind of network and reconnect with people that I started out with. Everybody's kind of found their path and their journey within playing music, and now you hopefully get to see people and work with them later in life after everybody's gone and done some other stuff.
I love that, and it really shows the longevity of what you're building. Like at any point in your career, you might meet someone one day and be like, "Oh, I'll probably never see them again." You will, trust. You will see them again. They will be back in your life in some way. So I'm so glad you said all that. What about you, Serena?
That's so true. I echo that. Like, music industry is such a tiny industry, and everybody knows each other. So it's really important to keep those connections alive, and I'm sure we'll dive deeper into it. But I think like if you can cultivate relationships with the people you immediately work with, whether it's your internship or even your classmates, because look around this room, like you are all going to be colleagues throughout your careers, believe it or not, if you stay in the music industry. So yeah, I mean, earlier in my career, I think networking maybe was just going to different events, meeting people, which I still think that's super important. And I think you're taking a big step with like just even being here today. But I think now, you know, relationships are so huge, just really building out those relationships. And you can do that through trust and authenticity and really showing up as your best self when you're in the workplace, I think is probably the biggest thing you can do.
Absolutely, Latoya.
So for me, I guess working in corporate it's similar but different. I think first starting out, I was really trying to make a name for myself. Like, so it was more like meeting people in the building. Like, can you have coffee with me? Now that I'm more senior in my career, it's more about making a name for my work. So what can I do to have more industry contacts? What can I do, not necessarily in the building at MasterCard or, you know, where I was working at that point, but can I find opportunity with someone in an adjacent space to where I'm working? Or is there someone in the brand space that's doing something that's interesting that I can help to bring, you know, sort of a stronger brand equity for who I am as talent? So a lot of times when you think about networking, it's like, oh yeah, I want to be able to get this thing as a transaction. Like, I want to get this thing for me, right? But you really want to build a relationship so that you're known for something. And the more people you have that can speak about what you're known for and what you're valuable at, those one-on-one transactions just feel like that. They're just really short
Natural.
transactions, right? But you want to have this sort of deep relationship where it's like, oh, you need this? No, she's the girl. Like, have you heard of Big Lot Record? You haven't? Like, you have to, we've done so many things with her. So it's building, reputation building, I think is how I look at networking now versus when I was younger. It was more just like, hi, meet me. What do you do? What do I, learning.
Yes,
Yeah, so-
absolutely. At this point, the work is speaking for itself.
Exactly.
And it really does come down, like in the room when you're trying to do these types of things, it comes down to, oh, I know this girl. She's perfect for you to do this. It really is that simple. It's like, oh, you're talking about this? Well, I know somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah.
That's how it all comes together. So I love that you said the reputation building and who you are, what you're doing is going to speak for you more than
Yeah.
like you being like, hi, nice to meet you, you know?
Yeah,
I
and there's
love
a
that.
saying, I mean, it's kind of a competitor, not really competitors, I'm gonna say. I think they actually are sponsored, participating. Amazon in the house. But there was a saying by Amazon CEO, and it was, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And so that really, I think, is like where you want to get to in networking. But.
Absolutely. Write that down, because I am.
Can I add something?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. I think also to get to that point
Yeah.
of expertise, right? Of that reputation, you have to start thinking early about like, what is it that I'm good at?
Yeah.
Like really, all of you bring so much value. But when you're young, sometimes like you don't know how to articulate your value or you don't even know what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that could be a lifelong pursuit, honestly, but like start thinking about like where you add value like what are your unique strengths and skills, and that's how you really start building that niche for yourself where you can start building that reputation.
Know yourself and be
Yeah.
proud of what you do
Yeah.
because it's valuable and people want to get to know you. So I love that. I love that. Well, we mentioned the networking mixers and different opportunities to get to know people. We have one after this, by the way. I hope you're all coming so we can meet you. But a lot of our members are starting to go to these opportunities in these different spaces. I want to ask, what are some authentic and good conversational topics that y'all think are a good way for people to start bringing up who they are, things to mention about themselves that like don't turn people off of them in these types of rooms?
I think just having a point of connection with somebody where you're saying like, it could be saying like, oh, where are you from? Or where do you like, what are you doing these days? Where are you working? Because I think the big thing is like, usually you're going in and you're meeting people cold and you're just trying to build some semblance of relationship and some point of connection. You know, it could even be like, hey, have you heard the new Taylor record? You know, even just something that you can kind of get talking to somebody about. I think that's the most important thing, just because like everybody is standing there awkwardly. If you're no, it's true though. Like
say it out loud. Like we're all a little bit.
If you go to a networking thing, everybody's standing there awkwardly because everybody's like, oh, do I talk to this person? Do they want to talk to me? They're talking to these other people. Like, what do I do? Sometimes you just want to talk to somebody so that both of you can like not be that awkward. Like I'm the most awkward person, and so if I walk into a room, I'm immediately shy, I'm immediately a little bit awkward, and maybe I can find another awkward person to talk to and be like, okay, maybe we can just like talk about something like waffles. I don't know, whatever it is. But and then you'll be like, oh, that's that person that talked to me about waffles. Sometimes if you just bring up some like random weird point that you can connect to, that's almost more meaningful than coming out of the gate and being like, oh my gosh, you work for so and so, blah blah blah. Like that to me is like, oh, just another person that I'm meeting. But if I have like kind of a weird, funny conversation with somebody, I find that to be something I'm more likely to remember.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Serena?
I think it definitely depends on like who you're talking to and kind of reading the room and the vibe too. So yeah, I mean, being approachable, right? If you walk into a room, you should be making eye contact. You should have energy. You should be smiling. You should just be like approachable and warm because that is like one of the things that opens up all the doors to conversation. But here we're in the music industry, right? So you could say, you know, hey, what's your favorite band or what music are you listening to right now? Like, I think those things are universal, and we're all passionate about it, right? We all want to know. So that sometimes opens up a door for commonality, as you were saying. Yeah. You have any thoughts?
No, yeah, I think definitely I echo that point, and I'm going to take probably the boring marketer lens on it, but I would say be prepared, especially as you get to bigger, more powerful rooms. And I always like to take the approach of think, feel, do. What do you want people to think, feel, and do, right? Like when they meet me, I want them to think this, I want them to feel this. And so what do I need to say in that conversation to get to that end, right? I want them to think that I am the best graphic designer they've ever met. I want them to feel this, and I want them to do. So what do I need to prepare, for that? Is it I need to give them my Instagram? I need to make sure by the end of this, like I would have goals for those conversations. And I think that the other part is those kind of shared, if you're in a space, everyone in this room plays guitar, then it's easy, like, so what do you play on? So when did you start, right? Like if there's that commonality, come prepared with those questions. Don't read them off of your phone, obviously, but just try to figure out like, okay, I researched this room, and what I know about this room means that these 5 questions should land. And if I get here, then I can share the Instagram, and that's the goal because that's where my portfolio is.
Oh, you got the formula. I love that. And that goes back to what Serena was saying about knowing your unique qualities, know what you have to offer, like you're prepared in that so you know what to think, feel too. I really like that.
I really love that.
Like, that's good. Oh my God.
Better than waffles.
It's fine. It's fine.
Wait, Serena, I want to take it back because as we're talking about like what people can say, as a recruiter and someone who's in the hiring space, are there any intros or icebreaker topics that have like kind of stuck out to you that makes you see someone and you're like, oh, this person's a little different. Like, I want to follow up with them.
You know what? I think because like Gen Zs have kind of been in this like behind the screens kind of element. Whenever I see someone that's like super outgoing, warm, friendly, like ready to make eye contact and like ready to talk, I feel like, wow, that's a great person right there. Not to say being shy, like you still have superpowers for sure, but trying to break out of that, like I'm too scared to say something or I'm too scared to make eye contact. One company I worked for, there was, I think she was a contractor, but she never made eye contact and she was always in the kitchen and I wanted to talk to her and I couldn't talk to her because her eyes were always down and I like never had that moment to like make a connection with her even though I wanted to talk to her. So just be aware of your own like persona and kind of that whole like think, feel, do. Yeah, I think it's huge. So when you're approachable, it really opens up so many doors. You've no idea.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also want to echo that if that's not something that it comes natural to you as you first enter the space, that's okay. It does not come natural to anybody when they're first up in there. Like, it's
Yeah.
definitely something you have to exercise, exposure therapy, go to these events, push yourself to try and like meet new people because it is awkward and you have to kind of be comfortable with like feeling a little shy, a little awkward and like putting yourself out there because that's kind of what the industry is, and it's definitely something that will benefit you like as you grow that muscle for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And my mom, like when I was like a kid, she was just like, say, "Hi, my name is Serena," and I still do that today.
Yes, first step, get it out there. Like, that's really funny. Okay, so we're in the networking space. We're having a conversation. We're ping ponging. What do you think is like? How do you pivot the conversation? Like you're not even sure like what you're trying to get out of them yet, but you know like you want to get to know this person more. How are you able to like transition the conversation into more like of a business setting or like what you're trying to get into? Let's start with you, Latoya.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that goes back to the preparation, right? So you go in that room and you know what your goal is. And so I mentioned like the graphic designer piece, but maybe it's just like I have to talk to at least 10 people in this room because I'm so incredibly shy. If I can just say hello to 10 people, I won today, right? So, but I think as far as pivoting besides kind of researching who's in the room, I think it's definitely knowing the elevator pitch for yourself. And it's like, oh, I wanted to talk to you because I'm working on this thing and I noticed that you mentioned that you're doing this, right? So knowing your skill set, so as much as you are researching the room, you really need to get who you are down. And I know as someone who's pitched too often, it's not that I don't have the attention span, but I don't always have the time.
Right.
So if you're like, well, when I was 5, I picked up this, and it's like, okay,
Don't
well,
take it
this
that
was
far back,
great.
like-
Well, this was great. Well, I don't have time. You're out of time. So I think the pivot is important, but make it valuable when you do that. So research the room and know yourself well enough to know what you're even trying to connect on.
So, like, let's say that you've done that already and now you have a good rapport with the person. I think reading the rapport is important too. Like, if you're talking to somebody and it's awkward and you're not really gelling or you're not opening up, unlocking conversation, sometimes you talk to people and it just opens up doors of different conversation, right? You just went on this topic and now you're talking about this topic and now you're talking about this and you just have this great like back and forth and rapport. And that might be someone that you kind of say, okay, I have the rapport with this person. Maybe my next step is to say, hey, I would love to have coffee with you sometime to pick your brain on XYZ. Would you be open to that? And if so, is it okay if I connect with you via LinkedIn? I think LinkedIn is a fabulous tool. Once you're connected to somebody, you usually have their email address. And it's just kind of a non-invasive way than like starting to follow them on social media or something more personal.
Right. Good first step. Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of reading the vibe, really. I mean, if you're not really gelling with somebody, maybe it's not appropriate to ask that question.
And Ryan?
Social cues.
I think one of the big things is, like kind of knowing the room. And I know that usually, like if I walk into a space and I'm going to interact with other people, especially like other players, you can kind of ask a question that is a little bit like career oriented in the sense like, oh, have you been doing more sessions lately? Have you been playing shows? Are you touring? Kind of trying to see like what lane they're in currently, because a lot of people go through this like weird like sequence of being in town, being on the road, whatever. And so just kind of having a conversation with somebody and being like, hey, like, what are you doing these days? I think that that's like a really great lead in, because then you can say like, oh, you know what? I just got done with this tour, or I've got this session coming up that I'm looking forward to. And then you can kind of make points of connections, but by kind of bringing something up where you're like, okay, I know enough about this person that I know that like they'll be able to answer this question in a way that will get them excited, because people like to tell you what stuff they're proud of.
Yes.
You know, people, like if you ask me what I'm doing, I want to tell you because I'm proud of something that I've done, or I'm looking forward to something I'm about to do. And so if you know the right question to ask to try to get that answer for them, they're going to be excited, and they're going to be like, wow, this person cared enough to ask me that. And that's a great way to kind of build a connection.
I'm glad you said that, because another key thing about networking, it's not just about you. Like, it's great to have your pitch, it's great to be prepared, but also remember that you're having a conversation with somebody. You want to get to know who they are. You want to know more about them authentically. It shouldn't feel like, okay, now here's everything about me, and now what can you give me? No, like, you're supposed to be trying to get to know them as well, because like, you're just building relationships. It's just a conversation. Like, you're making a friend. Like, think of it like that. I really like that. Anything to add, Latoya?
No, I was just like,
Like, it really is that simple. Like, it shouldn't feel so daunting, because you're just conversing with someone, you know? So maybe try to have that in the back of your head if you're someone who like isn't really new to it, or doesn't really know what to do yet. But Ryan, I want to come back to you on that. As you mentioned, like touring and stuff like that. As a performer, a content creator, what are some of the most like unconventional spaces where networking has taken place for you and you didn't expect it? And what does that look like?
So my husband thinks I'm crazy with this.
Amazing.
But like my favorite activity is airport networking.
Really?
Yes. So
I'm sad because
so
I
like
hate airport.
Hot tip, if you are taking a flight from the Nashville airport and you are BNA, what up? BNA carpet on Instagram. RIP BNA carpet. If you are going to the Nashville airport on like early, like 6 a.m. Friday morning, you are gonna run into so many people, and it's really fun.
Really?
And if you return at like 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, you're gonna run into so many people, and it's awesome. And it's the airport is like one of the best places that you can network with people, because one, you always have an out. If you you're like, if you're like talking to somebody, you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, oh, I have to get to my gate, okay? But usually you're at the airport and you're like, man, I have an hour to kill. What am I going to do? And you see other people and everybody's just sitting around waiting. And most people would rather sit down and have a conversation and have the time fly by than just like sitting on their phone being like, oh, I still have like 30 minutes till I board. Like, I've already gone to the bathroom 5 times. You know, like that's the thing. I think that like it's cool also because you get to see other people and where they're going. So there's a built-in thing where I know if I'm walking through the airport and I see somebody with like a cymbal bag or a guitar, I could be like, oh, this person clearly does what I do.
Right.
This person is clearly schlepping their stuff through the airport, trying to get to their flight. They're going to go play a show. They're going to come back. And, like, we know what that lifestyle is. So if you go and you sit down at the gate and you see somebody with an instrument, you can say, like, oh, hey, like, I'm Ryan. I'm going to this thing. What do you do? And you might find out, like, oh, this person plays for so-and-so. And that's a really cool thing because you kind of build this thick connection where you're like, oh, cool, like, I'm going to do this. So I honestly have made some of my, like, best, most fun little, like, networking conversations at the Nashville airport and also at LaGuardia, LAX, Minneapolis, many airports. It's like the secret best place to go network.
So that's kind of true because I made a really good friend at the airport bar.
The airport bar's lit. Yeah. I don't know if y'all are even going to be in there.
But we became really good friends. And when I got back, I'm from New York City, and at the time, this was at probably JFK or LaGuardia, might have been LaGuardia. But we were just waiting for our flights. We were going to 2 different flights, and we exchanged business cards. And when I got back, like, we emailed each other, and then we became good friends. And then I got her an interview at a company I was working for. And then she got the job, and she worked there for 5 years.
Give it up for that. That's crazy. That's actually the most crazy thing I've ever heard.
Just
you got her a job?
I feel so antisocial listening to it. I am headphones in, like, don't shades. I
don't talk to nobody at the airport. That is huge.
Good. I needed to hear that.
No, challenge. Try to make, if y'all flew in, try to make a friend at the Nashville
Okay.
airport. Try to
Okay.
make friends.
Okay.
Report back
Tell a
on the
friend to
GRAMMY U
tell a
Instagram
friend.
in the comments. Be like, oh my God, I made a friend. Thank you, Serena. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Latoya and Jessica.
Tell a
Yeah,
friend.
add that. Wait, that's crazy. I'm really glad you said that because it can be these unconventional, you don't know who you're going to meet. These
Yeah.
things where you're already set in your ways, you know you're not going to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
And then who knows, you meet someone incredible and you make a connection. So I love that.
You never know. Like, put the phone down and
Put the
just,
phone down.
just like look around. Like
Put
you might
the phone
you
down.
might meet amazing people. You've like no idea.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That one got me. That one got me. Put the phone down.
Okay.
Okay, let me get
Work in
together.
progress.
Work in progress. We're all trying here. Okay, Serena and Latoya. What are some key qualities that you look for in young professionals, and how can they best showcase those in those 1 to 2 short interactions?
I look for people that are like willing to learn and are curious. So if you ask good questions and you're genuinely curious about the industry, about just passionate about what we do in the industry, and you're coming to the table like really wanting to learn, you seem really passionate. I love that. We love people that are passionate, that like want to grow with us, that are excited to come work here. Like these are things that we look for. So I think, oh yeah, and of course like the resume things, like having, good
Oh, yeah, that too.
grammar, good, good style, that kind of stuff. Looking polished is also important, like looking your best. Like if you're in a room with a bunch of people, this is like almost like it's your brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just thinking about your brand and how that shows up with
Yeah.
the think, feel, do.
Think, feel, do.
Love it.
I feel like I'm going to see that a lot now.
Remember her.
Yeah, I think definitely those foundational skills. For us, agility is something I look for. There are times where we'll just say this is a thing that we have to do, and there's a lot of white space. So someone who can navigate ambiguity, that doesn't need me to have all the answers, because sometimes we are building the plane while we're flying it, even though we're a pretty big company. Curiosity, very important. Entrepreneurial mindset. I'm a big fan. I think that's why I've stayed at this brand so long. Is I will let you throw spaghetti at the wall. As long as it sticks. Like, come to me with an idea. If it works, let's keep doing it. Right. So that's important to me, to have someone who can also think outside of the box, because the worst thing you can say to me is that's the way we've always done it. Like, I'd be like, okay, bye. Like, I can't. It's the worst thing.
Next.
Next, bye. So to have someone who's excited about a new approach to do something, turning an idea on its head or on its side, like that's always really interesting to me. And someone who has like diverse experience. Like I don't have a traditional career arc either. So I think seeing that in someone else, knowing that the skill set really can be built to a certain level, if you have like kind of those foundational elements and the curiosity and the willingness to learn.
Yeah. I always say like being like smart is just half the battle.
Yeah.
If you're smart, you can figure it out. You can use your resources. You can just figure it out sometimes. And sometimes I just look for that curiosity, that spark, that the person that really just wants to turn things around, but like within the boundaries of responsibility.
Don't dump it out, but
Yeah.
turn it sideways.
I'm really glad that you brought up like diverse experiences and like telling people that side of yourself. And I'm really wondering, because like you're having a conversation with someone, you're running out of time, you're trying to get in a lot of things, but like you don't want to go all the way back to when I was 5,
Right.
So what's a good way to mention these past experiences when in a conversation with somebody who doesn't really have the time? Like they gotta go. You have like 30 minutes. 30. Like what?
30.
30. Like how do you do this?
I don't want to sound like a broken record. So again, I think figuring out who's in the room, right, that you're talking to, and maybe this is just the way I work. So everyone is different. So I'd love to hear everyone else's. I do typically have a script for like everything except for panels. I 100% freestyle. I wrote my panels.
Yeah,
Sorry, you
yeah.
guys. Love you guys. But I do. So I would think like, okay, I want to make sure that I hit these sort of 3 points before I go.
So get organized.
Get
first and foremost.
organized. Yeah, I think it's really like leave the house with a goal.
If you have that goal and you kind of make a plan of how you're going to infiltrate the conversation, right? Then that'll lead to open doors to other pieces of the conversation, right? Yeah.
What do you think, Ryan?
I think just knowing how to follow up with somebody really quickly is a big thing. So if you only have like a short period of time to like get to know somebody, be like, oh, is it cool? Like, let me follow you on Instagram, and even just something like that is something that somebody, if they're looking for you, they can find you, or if you're
Right.
looking for them, you can find them. So even something where, like, let's say you leave a conversation and it happened too quickly and you didn't get to make your pitch, or you didn't get to ask for their email or whatever, if you can turn around and like Google them and find them and maybe just like mark like who they are or friend them or whatever you do on LinkedIn. I don't know.
Connect.
I don't know what
Connect
LinkedIn
with
is.
them. Yeah.
I mean, I know what it is, but it's a different world. But like, I think the big thing is like, if you leave a conversation too quickly, knowing how to seek that person out to be able to follow up in the future, I think is a really important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and just to go back to what she said too, but read the room, because sometimes it's, you don't want to push for the connection and the person's body language is like
I'm trying to get out.
No. If it seems appropriate.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think it's just like being smart, being like understand what's going on here. Like don't do too much, but
Not
just
too
kind
much.
of be savvy, Well, that's another thing I wanted to ask. What is like a big red flag to you when someone's networking with you and you're like, this is not authentic, this is not really giving? What is something that is like the do not do for all of you? I'm actually curious to see how it is in like the performance space, the HR space, and then the everything space, Miss MasterCard. So let's get into it.
I have mine. So I think, and through Grammy U, I've been able to meet so many like talented folks. I think what happens sometimes though is they'll be like, so I'm doing this thing, like it hasn't happened here, but people will say to me like, so can you sponsor this thing I'm doing? And I'm like,
What happened to hello?
wait a minute, like,
happened
hi,
to my name
hello.
is?
They're like, oh, this is what you do? Okay, I know a band. I know this, I know that. Like, just sort of asking for money within like 10 minutes, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So that's a big red flag. And I think too, I sort of like, because obviously you can see people have done their research and like, oh, this is where you went to school, this is where this is where that. But if it kind of leads too much into like, I hate to say too much into personal, but it's like, oh, my cousin went to that college. Oh, I grew up on that street.
Too much with no follow-up.
Right,
No
and I'm like,
substance.
so
Right.
what are we talking, like, what are you working on?
No, yes,
What are you
yes.
working on? So I think the connection piece, but think of networking also as like, what did I call it? Like I can't remember. I told you I wing it. Like reputation building,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
it's an information exchange, yes. But it's also like, hey, I want you to be connected to me, and I want you to be like, I want that. So like, let's figure that part out. But I think there should be something on the business end, at least if you're doing it in business spaces, so that you can be able to like, make a sale or some kind of connection like with your portfolio or set up a session, right? So I wouldn't make it all like, my mom is from there, that's my favorite store. Like that kind of gets me. Like, I'm like, that's so great. It was great to meet you.
Great to meet you. See you never.
See you never.
See you never, actually.
Yeah, I won't see you again.
I think she's leading into that. You have to balance being formal with too informal.
Yeah.
That realizing that if you're in a networking situation, that it's informal, yes, but also you're trying to show up as a professional, and you want to be careful about being like too informal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, she nailed it. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you so much. My
I
translator.
think you got it.
I think one of the biggest red flags is not asking the other person a question.
I think so too.
Yeah.
You
Like
know-
that sticks out immediately. Like you immediately are like, hey, here's everything about me. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Why did you even
What
want to talk
was
to me
that?
for? What was
Yeah.
that?
What was
What
the
was
reason?
that?
What
Yeah.
was the reason?
Because that happens, and I think it also, I know that, I mean, this is just like an experience that I've had recently with somebody who recently just graduated from Belmont, and he piano player. We did this like really short gig together during Americana Fest. But like we got on stage and we're waiting around during rehearsal, and you know he's just telling me everything. He's telling me what his major is and how long he was in school for and where he's living, and didn't ask me a single question. And it's like, man, like I've been in this town 13 years now. Like you could ask me a question.
Yeah.
So I think that if you do want to go and you want to network with people, like having a couple of questions where it's not just like you making your pitch, that's the big red flag for me, because somebody is like, oh, they only care about telling me about them. And so the best thing that I think you can do is just take that second to be like, oh, like ask a question.
Well, asking questions really shows your curiosity, right? So if you can ask a question, it shows you're curious. And honestly, people love to talk about themselves.
They do.
So if you ask them questions, they'll be more than happy to like start opening the doors to conversation.
It's definitely very important to be an active listener in a conversation. Like, even when you're asking that question, like, don't just be waiting to ask the next question. Like, actually listen and build off of what they're saying, and like have that conversational aspect instead of just being like, oh, that's cool. What was that? Like, can we get a little bit or more? You know, I really like that. That's perfect. Okay, so we're having a conversation. It's going well. We're ping-ponging. It's getting near the end. And I still haven't really talked about, oh, like, do you have any opportunities available, or like how we can stay in touch? What's a good way to like leverage a point of relation and bridge the gap between, okay, we've made this connection, and talk about like future opportunities in that sense?
So what I've noticed, and at least through my experiences, if I'm really vibing with somebody, and let's say they're a college student or a recent college grad, or you know, and I'm kind of on the recruiting end of, you know, I do HR. So I'm always thinking about the puzzle pieces and like how they fit together. And so I feel like if you're really having that rapport with somebody, they might open the door to future conversation, right? Like they might say, oh, you should connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's follow up because I'd love to consider you maybe for an internship, or I'd love to pass your resume along to HR, or, you know, I'd love to pass your resume along to a colleague who's doing this thing. So sometimes when you're having that real good rapport with someone, you're not even the one that's opening the door that way, they are. So
That's how you know you ate. If
Yeah.
they're like, oh,
Yeah.
like, you know what, I actually really like you. Like,
Yeah,
let's keep
so-
it going. I like that. And Latoya, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. I was like what she said. It's interesting because I actually have done that at a GRAMMY U conference and been like, oh, you're studying law. You should meet Joe on our legal team.
Yeah,
Like he's
see?
actually an
That's what I'm
amazing
saying,
person.
yeah.
I think there's a few ways to kind of seal the deal. I think if you, depending on the platforms, like LinkedIn, you mentioned like, connect. LinkedIn for me is something I usually will say like, hey, let's connect
Me too.
on LinkedIn. But I think outside of that, it's a sort of finding a way to build a bridge in that conversation. So it could be like, well, what exactly would you be looking for? Like, what stands out to you, right?
Asking questions.
Yeah, like what if you were looking for someone to join your team, or when you look at, you know, sponsorships and things to sponsor, what stands out to you? It doesn't necessarily have to be like, please choose me, it's about me, but it's like, I'm curious about your mindset, because then you might actually get there and say, okay, if you're looking for that, that's so interesting. I was just working on something like that this summer. And, you know, if you want to check out our, you know, TikTok that we have that's going viral right now, or we're performing at this summer festival, you know, send an invite. And it's like, you know, that person might show up, and then you created a bridge. So sometimes it's not necessarily landing it there, but it's finding a way to build a bridge in the conversation.
Build the bridge. And Ryan, for you in the creative space, what has worked for you whether it's session work and getting to know other collaborators in music, what's worked for you in those spaces?
Well, I think the good thing about that space is like it's kind of built in that you have to know a lot of people, and you have to know a lot of people that do different things. So like, for instance, like if I'm going to like produce a session and I'm going to hire players, if I'm going to like plan a show and have to build a band, you know, it's like, okay, I have to know drummers and guitar players and, you know, whoever. I have to know a lot of different people. And so because of that, I think that people that are on the playing side and the creative side are very willing and very likely to like just give you their phone number or their email. It's a very like soft thing, I don't think is as like structured in business. Like everybody is more than willing to give you their phone number. And so I think that one of the best things you can do is say like, yeah, like, oh, we met, we just played this gig together, or, we just met at this concert or whatever. Hey, let me get your number, or let me follow you on Instagram. Something like that is really common amongst players because everybody knows that you have to know a lot of people. So, like if I think about the number of different people that I work with in 1 month, I might work with 100 different people in a month.
How do you keep track of them?
So I usually put it, so if I like get their contact, if I get their phone number or their email, I'll do a contact and I'll write like what their instrument and where they're from, and then maybe I'll write like a little note. So I might say like, oh, this is Chris. He plays bass, lives in Nashville, and I'll put that in like the last name, like the first name, last name. And I'll be like,
too.
I do that
bass,
too.
bass Nash, and then I'll make like a little note, like plays for so and so, or met at this thing, or we did this gig together. So I'll kind of make sure that I keep like a little log of that person if I need it, and also know that like they want my number too because they may need me to sub for them, or they may need me to refer another person. So the cool thing is, like, at least if you're on the creative side, people are usually very willing to give out their contact info because you know that you need to have like a really wide network.
I'm really glad you say that because that's really the difference between like the creative world of music and the corporate world. Like when you're in creative spaces specifically, it really is that simple. You'll see a gig, you'll love the bassist, and then you want to connect after, and next thing you know they're playing in a session with you because it really, that's what it takes. You need to know a ton of people. You want to music is collaborative. You're making those connections. So I'm really glad you said that. And a lot of times it's the fear of like, oh, I don't want to be a bother to this person, I don't want to like be too blunt. Like in the creative space, I will say that that's a situation where like if you are a musician, you're an artist, you're an instrumentalist, that is a force. That is such a quality that people are looking for, and they want to work with you. So I definitely think it's getting over that hump of like, oh, I'm scared to ask this other creative if they want to collab, ask. The worst they can do is not answer, really. Like they're never really gonna be like, I'm not really feeling it. Like they just won't answer, So just like take that step, make that initiative because it's that simple. You can get a phone number, session basis, based in Nash. That simple.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes like too, like honestly, like Instagram is like the best like non-committal sharing of information,
right?
Because you can follow each other, and and you can kind of do that thing where maybe I do a session with somebody and everybody left and I didn't get their info, but I would love to be able to connect with them. I'll follow them on Instagram, and then maybe I'll send them a message like after, like maybe a couple weeks go by and somebody posts a photo from the session. I might say that they're tagged, and I might be like, oh hey man, like, dude, you did such a great job. I love playing with you. Like best pedal steel player in town. I don't know, something that's true and very complimentary, but just like a way to connect that way, just to like kind of open that door of conversation. And it doesn't have to be specifically text or email, but it could be something where you just follow the person on Instagram and kind of keep track of what they're doing. And then if you see that you're kind of like put together in a moment in like a shared photo or something, send a message then, because it's something that has become top of mind again.
Yeah, be their fan. Keep track of what they're up to. They'll keep track of what you're up to, and then it aligns. It aligns naturally. I love that. Oh, this is good. This is good stuff. Okay, I have a question for all of you, and this is I actually have a lot of thoughts on this as well. I want to ask, how do you think industry networking has changed over the last 20 years, even 10 years, and what do you recommend for emerging professionals staying ahead of the changing trends? It's a tough one, I know.
I can go. I'm an old lady. So it used to be like business cards, like remember paper?
Now we got QR codes, honey. Check me at my QR.
Right. Now it's like you put your phone together. But if that was a big thing, it was like, oh, I need to get as many business cards as I can, and I met so many people, and then they wouldn't answer you anyway. But it was, I think it was more, it was set up as like business networking event, right? And I think now it's like every event is an opportunity to network. But it used to really be more of a thing where it was like, we're going to descend upon this place and we're going to network in this room. And it's so much better now because, to your point, like it's like, okay, great, let's connect on Instagram, or right? And that's how I've been able to sometimes find artists. Like, I mean, I've reached out and been like, and I love her so much. Like, I don't know if you guys know Sailor, but I forgot who I told about Sailor last year, a year or two, And they were like, who is that? And then I think she came to New York and started this small tour. And they were like, oh my God, do you know Sailor? I was like, I told you
Girl, I told you about Sailor.
so long ago. And those kind of things where it's like, oh yeah, like look, like let's look through our Instagram. I DM'd you about it. And it's like, hey, let's sit and talk. Like, let's talk. Let's see what else you're looking at. Like, what other artists are you, you know? So that it was so random when I was like, hey, check this thing out. It came full circle. But that was kind of a digital networking example because it was just like an observation. Like, great meeting you. I know we talked about artists. Like, check out this artist. And so I think that's changed. It's no longer like you have to stand in a room and meet people and give all your information. It can be these sort of shared experiences that you get in a conversation through any channel.
Wow, love that.
That's so true. You have like the digital world at your fingertips, and also organizations like Grammy U giving you these cool opportunities is really awesome. That you're here and you're talking to people, you're listening, you're thinking about your own brand, you're thinking about what you're going to bring to the table, you're thinking about your own value add. You're doing all the things. Like, being here is such a big step. So I think that that's what's different too. I don't know that these opportunities really existed when I was like just out of college. So I think that's important too.
And Ryan.
Cool. SEO. SEO is one of the most important things that I think about on a daily basis. Is everybody familiar with SEO? Okay.
Some class.
I was like, what?
Search engine optimization is so important because like people have to find you. People want to find you. So to me, a huge part of networking is making sure that if I have optimized somebody's ability to find me, then I've won the game. And so that means that I want them to find me on different platforms. I want them to find a specific version of me that I've curated to say, like, this is what you get when you get me and where you're looking for me. So if somebody is looking for me based upon, like, the records that I've played on, you can go to Spotify, put my name in, and you'll find the records that I've played on.
Yes.
If you want to find out, like, what my website is, you put my name in, and if I'm not the first thing that shows up on Google, then I'm not doing a good job. But like that's something that like never really was a thing a long time ago, but now like we have
everything.
It's everything. Like we have the ability to figure out how to curate popping up and being like top of mind if we do it right. And so I think that that's something that's super important, is knowing that like different platforms work in different ways. And if you can kind of like figure out the best way to make it so that if somebody's looking for you, they can find you, that's super crucial.
Yes.
Yeah. If I can add a little nerdiness on top of that, there's also AEO, right? So you can't be visible through AI if you don't have SEO. So you know how you can just look up something and then it'll give you a list and it's like AI says this is about this person or whatever, but you need to be able to have the functionality on SEO set up because it scrapes, we're getting way in the nerd portal, but it will scrape the website to get that information to feed it to AI. So it's both like they're connected.
I didn't even know all that. That's good.
Wow.
That's good to know. Okay, I got one more question, then we have to go, sad.
Oh,
Because we could talk all
no.
day. We could talk
Every
all
time.
day. But guess what? We'll be at the networking mixer, so you can try out all these new tips and tricks.
There's a test.
Okay.
There's a test at the end.
We can test it, see how you did. No, we're so cool. Come meet us. Okay. What advice do you have for our Grammy U members who might be taking their next steps in growing their network or landing their first industry job, whether that's corporate, music business, creative, session work? What do y'all suggest?
Oh, okay. So I'll go. Just like when you show up as your best self. Show up as your best self on your first day of work. Like, be hardworking, come early, leave late, work hard, say yes. Like, nothing's below you. In our company, the garbage was full, and our EVP took out the garbage. Like, nobody's too good to do anything, and you shouldn't be either. So come in, like, be ready to learn, have your pen and paper. I know that art is somewhat lost. Sometimes I'm, surprised, like, none of the interns have pens and paper and they're not, like, taking notes. But, I mean, come in, be ready to learn, say yes, be a yes person, and just utilize your resources, build great relationships internally, because that's really what opens the doors for your career. It's what builds your brand, your reputation, right? What you're known for, what people see you as, how you, it's just so amazing, like what a smart, positive, curious person can do as long as they're showing up that way and they're like ready to just tackle whatever's thrown at them. It just goes so far. So that's my advice.
Yeah.
Latoya, what about you?
Well, I'd say, there's no small jobs. I think because sometimes it can get frustrating and there's imposter syndrome and you like, I want to be where this person is and I should be. And, I did this, I did that. Everything is a lesson. I think that you can learn as much from failure as you can from success. So
part.
as you are, growing in the industry and going from place to place and getting all this knowledge in your toolkit, I think that approach is going to help you because a lot of times, your first failure, it can knock you out, right? But think of that as like a stepping stone in your career. Like now I know I won't do that again. Like now I'm so much better for all of my failures. My successes, that's great. You can't rest on that. And that's, I think, if I can give anything to your generation, it's like the one success you have in this area, that's great. Put that to the side. You have a lot more to keep going and let that drive you forward. And that's what's going to get you to your goals when you get to the point where you kind of treat them equal, as lessons. Never stop learning. Never stop learning. Like the SEO, AEO, all those things. I'm nerding out about that now because it is important to see how your brand shows up and building agents and all these things. Why am I building agents and I'm in sponsorships? Because I need to, because it's important. So those kind of things, I think, as you think about the next steps in your career is the staying curious, but making sure that you are staying on top of trends in your industry from, music, but also innovation as well, so that when it comes time for something to be like the next big thing, you've already been working on it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan, take us home.
So much pressure.
Say what you want to say.
No, she's got it.
I think don't be afraid to not like the thing that you thought you would like. Because it's very likely that you'll find yourself that maybe getting a job or doing something that on paper you thought was exactly what you wanted to do. And then you start doing it and you're like, man, I'm very unhappy. If you find yourself doing a job that you thought was the thing that you wanted,
Yep.
and you start doing it and you realize that the day in, day out of it is something that is not the thing that's resonating with you, you don't have to keep doing it. You can find something else. And so don't think that the very first thing you do is the thing that you're going to be locked into. If you don't like it, be like, okay, maybe this isn't the right fit. Maybe I need to find something else that I can use my skills and I can thrive in doing, and that'll put your life on a different trajectory, and that'll be the right path if you follow it and if you're genuine about it. Because I think that's the thing, a lot of people kind of get stuck with saying oh man, I got this opportunity and it's with these people and it's with this company and this is the thing I should do. And then you get in there and you're like, man, I have no friends here. And all I want to do is go to lunch by myself. And that's a terrible feeling. So just from a quality of life standpoint, try to find something that resonates with you, that makes you feel good when you go to work.
Don't be afraid to pivot. We love a pivot. I love, that's a really good way to end. Let's end on that. Give it up for Ryan, Serena, Latoya. What an incredible, and me, thank you. What an incredible panel. Thank you all for being here. Stick around. We've got more for you. We've got the networking panel where you can try out all these tips and tricks. And we're excited to meet you. So thanks for being here, y'all.